Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Unless you hear me slide my mic around, I know y'all hear that screechy sound. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds live feed. This is JJ. We're here. Welcome you once again, and welcome to the live show. Today, I'm going to let everybody jump in real quick and, get settled in. Make sure y'all got your soda. I got mine. Make sure y'all got your soda. You got your snacks ready. As we're going to dive into a few things today. Hopefully we can dive into some good things, and hopefully it's not going to be bad things today. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. It would help out the channel. We're trying to work towards 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. If you don't know what I mean by watch hours, it's basically when you watch a video from beginning to end, and if you watch all the videos, which would be appreciated, that would add to the time to help us get monetized. And also, too, I want to welcome all the new subscribers that have subscribed to the channel. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds family. And believe it or not, it's growing. We're at 100. And you know what? We're at 100 subscribers. And we're growing slow, but we're getting there. We got 900 more to go, and then we got about maybe 3,000 more, maybe 3,300 more watch hours to go. And then we become monetized, and then we work for our new goal, which would be 100,000 subscribers. So this way the channel grows, we'll be able to do more things and be able to get the show on the road. Okay, I'm going to let everybody get in here real quick. I know there's some people that were waiting to get in on the action. Today is going to definitely be an action day. We got a lot of things to discuss. There are some things that people have been discussing with me over the last course of the days. And, it comes back to the same thing that I've been saying a long ago. And I had this minor discussion with a subscriber on the video chats about the new 7000 series X3D. I don't want you all to get it wrong. I like the 7000 series X3D, but I don't like the price. I don't like the thing where you got to take and you got to cut off a chiplet in order to get another chiplet to work. That's another thing I don't like. You pay $700 for a processor. Okay, you pay $700 for a processor that you only can use. You only can utilize. I'm not going to say use. I'm going to say utilize only half of it. You can only utilize the half where they put more of the L3 cache on, but that means you'll have to, if you want to be able to use that processor, the 7950 X3D, to its full potential. The way I'm gathering it, the only way it's going to really work is if you take and disable the half of it. So basically, you're only using 8-core and 16-thread. So you pay $700 to use 8-core and 16-thread. Unlike if you're using Intel. Intel utilizes mostly all their cores because they do got the 16-core 32-thread processor. Okay, I want you to understand that. There's a price difference. Okay, and also too, that the KS, the 13900 KS, hits 6 gigahertz. Hits 6 gigahertz. So I don't foresee the X3D hitting 6 gigahertz. I see from what I'm taking that I'm only seeing like a 1% to 2% difference in gaming. But I'm not seeing that on the other side. See, now the way I'm understanding it is this. With Intel, you get the gaming and you get the creator side. You get both of them. Intel has spared no expense to make sure that you get both sides of the field. Now, AMD's only gearing themselves towards the gamers. Hey, I got nothing wrong with you gamers. You gamers are the coolest, just to let you know that, and all that. But there are some people that, love to do the creator bit too. Like me, I love to do both. And if if the processor can't do both, can't do the gaming and creator side, it's useless to me. And with the consumer, if the consumer uses it, they're not into overclocking and everything else. They just want to use it up out of the box, plug and play and go. They don't want to have the hassle of going into the BIOS and, turning this off, turning that off, turning this on, turning that on to make their processor work at 100% like they want it to. Now, if you do, then you're best to get a 3-in-1 system that's already set out of the box and you go with it. And don't worry about the overclocking or anything else. Excuse me. And then you're not going to need the extra little tidbits with your system. But it's great to have. It is great to have those little extra tidbits, with your system, is because there might come down to later on down the road, you want to do something like you want to get into the enthusiast part of it, but you kind of made the mistake. Oh, I went and got one from Walmart that, that doesn't overclock, that you can't do nothing with it, that is totally useless. And that's the kind of thing too. Everybody just runs to these big box stores saying, give me a full complete unit, but you don't understand. When they do that, they give you the crappiest thing you can get on the market. Some reviewers will say, oh, this is the great, but you'll hear 9 out of 10 that they say that's crap. Okay? When they get those full systems, the pre-built systems, they review them, and 9 out of 10 you'll hear from every reviewer what's crap and what's not crap. Okay, you'll get 1% out of the whole gig, maybe 1 or 2 out of 2. I'd say 1 or 2 out of 10 that are not crap. Okay, but them 8 out of 10, that's not good odds. So basically, when it comes to pre-built systems, money is better spent when you buy the individual products yourself and you put it together yourself, and you can say to yourself, I put it together with my own 2 hands. Okay? When I first got into, building computer systems, okay, the first thing I had to learn was everything about the motherboard. What its capabilities and potentials are, what you can use and not use with the motherboard, what is so special about the motherboard. So once you learn what kind of RAM you can put with the motherboard, what kind of hard drive you can use with the motherboard, what kind of processor you can use with the motherboard, and what's its full max capabilities, if it's like, will it last me 5 years or will it last me 5 minutes? Now, that all depends on how much you really want to spend. There are some consumers in this world that don't want to spend, and get this, they don't want to spend an arm and a leg to buy a system. They don't want to spend $10,000 to have the best system in the world because they don't have $10,000. If they had $10,000, they'd be going out to buy a brand new car. Get that. They would be going out to buy a brand new car. So the thing is this. When you get a system and you want to build a system, start with the motherboard. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it many a times, because the motherboard controls the processor, controls the RAM, controls the hard drive, controls the graphics card. It controls everything. It's the main backbone of the computer. Okay, understand that. It is the main backbone of the computer. Without that, you're not going to be able to, you can't plug the system in without you can't plug your processor in without the motherboard. Understand that. So if you don't have a motherboard, where are you going to plug your processor in? Where are you going to plug your graphics card in? What controls the power going through the motherboard? Part of the power that goes to your graphics card is controlled through your motherboard, which controls the speed of your graphics card through the speed of the process of the power. Okay, not a lot of people know that. Everybody thinks, oh, I got extra plugs and I plug it in. No, those extra plugs are to do one thing, but you got system power from your motherboard that goes through your graphics card. Part of your power goes through your graphics card through that little PC slot. Okay. Understand that part of power goes through that PC slot to control to control your graphics card. Excuse me. Sorry. So when you understand that, and you understand that at least between 30 and 40 watts of power is being drawn through that little X16 PCIe slot, okay, then you'll understand that the motherboard is just as important as the processor, the graphics card, and so on. So with the PCIe slots and the M.2 slots, you need power going through there as well. So all in all, when it comes down to it, unless you know what kind of motherboard you're going to get and you want to be on the cheap, now if you want to be on the cheap, that's fine. Okay, now you can do it and still gain a lot of speed and a lot of FPS and everything else by the simple fact of this. Simple fact is this, is to find what was the best motherboard in the year that motherboard was made. There's a trick. I'm going to give you a little trick. In the year that motherboard was made, okay, they give you the maximum processor you can put in there, the maximum RAM you can put in there, the maximum everything that you can put in there. But that's good. Let's say if you got a motherboard on 2021 and it's 2023. Now in 2021, you find out the information on that motherboard, what was the best of the best at that time compared to now. See, that's what I did with this B450 motherboard. Is back in the time, it was like at Zen 2? This motherboard was only set up for Zen 2. I'm at Zen 3 5000 series with this motherboard and still can go up. And still can go up to the 5700G or the 5700X or the 5600X or, I can go to many of those series, and I don't have to change motherboard. I could probably go up to the 5800X3D. It's always good to try. You never know. I probably could go up to the 5800X3D. So, as long as I don't go over 8 cores and 16 threads with this motherboard, I'm good. That's its max, 8 core, 16 threads. I know this, but 8 core, 16 threads is still good in 2023. That's going to be really good from 2023 to 2028. 8 core, 16 thread ain't going nowhere. Just like the 4 core the 4-core 4 threads, they went for like 15 years. So if you understand that, then you understand, you get a motherboard that's overclockable, that's like old style overclockable, works just as good in 2023 as it did back in 2021 or 2020, 2018, in between there. Okay, works just as good back then as it does now. But you get more advancements and better software and everything to update it, I mean, it's not, the processor I got's not going anywhere for the next 5 years. I know this. It's the reason why I got the processor. It was cheap, and you can still buy this processor here for $100. The Ryzen 5 5600G. Nobody talks about it. The reason why they don't talk about it is because now they're talking about the 7900, 7950X3D, and, the 79, all 7000 series. But when it comes to integrated graphics, those processors suck. They only got 2 CUs. They carry less cores than this one that I got here. Now the 5600G carries double amount of cores, carries triple the amount of CUs. And if you go and look online and you go and look on the integrated graphics for the 5600G, you'll see that it has more cores, more everything. L3 cache, L2 cache compared to the new 7000 series. That's the reason why I stuck with the 5600G, is because I know it's going to last me for quite a few years. So, but that's if you're in a pinch and you want to build a computer, but you don't have the money for a graphics card right now. I understand graphics cards are coming down in price. I really do understand they're coming down in price. But I really want y'all to understand something about with it coming down in price. It might come down in price, yes, but that doesn't mean the driver software and everything else is getting fixed. That's the catch-22 that everybody forgets to think about, is that when you get an older GPU, CPU, or whatever, the one caveat that you have to think about, is it updatable? Are they updating that? Are they updating the GPU? Are they updating the CPU? Are they updating the motherboard? Just to let you know, the B450 from ASUS is being updated, yes. Okay, the Ryzen 5 5600G is being updated, yes, on the graphics side and the processor side. Just to let you know, it is being done. I have been updating it because now there's the 23.3.1 out for the Adrenalin software. The new one is out. I haven't sampled it yet, but I will today. Sometime today, I will be adding that into my system and seeing, this system here, integrated graphics. I'm using the up-to-date drivers like you would a discrete graphics card. Now think about that. But the only thing I'm using the drivers. I'm not using the Adrenalin software. The reason why I'm not using the Adrenalin software is because the problem is stemming in the Adrenalin software, not the drivers. The drivers are fine. It's just the Adrenalin software, there's a little glitch that I guess AMD is trying to work out and fix. But in time, we will see. Once they get that fix and that bug fix going on, then I'll let you know if it's good enough to update to, that software. The problem I'm having with it is that they haven't put a bug fix in there yet to fix the software to keep your Windows from crashing. But there's another caveat to this. Microsoft has been adding, and get this, Microsoft has been adding additional software in And I noticed this when I went to update my integrated graphics to the next one. I was doing a fresh install. What happened is that Microsoft was taking and automatically with Windows updates downloading new drivers for my integrated graphics. Now they're doing this with too the discrete graphics cards. If you guys notice that, your discrete graphics card acting funny, that's the reason why, is because you need to go in as soon as you update and upgrade your drivers. Go into where was it? Go into your control panel. Go into where was it? You go to your control panel. You go into your device manager, and then after your device manager, you go into where it says display adapters, and you check and you right click on display adapters, open up your graphics card, and you right click and go to properties, and then after that go to drivers, and look and make sure your drivers match with what you just downloaded. Make sure the date matches and the digital signature matches, because what's happening is Microsoft is giving a bad digital signature, causing a big problem with discrete and integrated graphics cards from AMD. It's like they're overriding the new driver software you just downloaded to your computer. The new update. Microsoft is overriding it. Do yourself a favor, and I've been doing this since 22.11.8 and up. Instead of doing a fresh install of the drivers, instead of doing a factory reset, don't do the factory reset. Just install the drivers only. And then when you get up to the 23.3.1, then, I would think about, just keep installing the drivers only. What I've learned with the B450 motherboard is this. One, I can go into the BIOS. I can set the integrated graphics up to its max. I don't need to do anything else. So once that's done, and I set it all to its max, okay, then after that, I don't need the Adrenalin software, because it does absolutely nothing. Truthfully, it does absolutely nothing for integrated graphics. Okay. If you go into a game, you can set manually what you want to do with your graphics card. You really don't need that extra software with that Wattman burning a hole into your PC. Basically, they got a controller in there. They call it Wattman. Okay. If you use the drivers only, Wattman is never installed. So that means your graphics card's not going to slow down, and your graphics card's not going to be hanging up. That's where it's been hanging up. When I took and put a discrete graphics card into this system, Wattman kept coming up as an error. So what I did to eliminate that is just eliminate the AMD Adrenalin software, just keep the drivers, and that's all you need. So, to be honest with you, that's all you really need. Even with the discrete graphics card, when you play your games, you can go into your games and put all your settings in your games. You don't need to put your settings on your Adrenalin software, for the simple fact it does you no good. Okay, the only thing that is good for the discrete graphics card, if you want to boost up your discrete graphics card, you want to put more on it, But basically, by doing it that way, you're going to burn it up faster. So you're best off to just run it the way it is, not put in adrenaline software. And I would recommend, and this is what I would recommend if you're really wondering, instead of putting in the adrenaline software, other than just the drivers alone, I would only, use MSI Afterburner, which I do. I use MSI Afterburner, but it doesn't work with setting the, overclocking the discrete graphics. It doesn't overclock it, just to let you know. It's there because I'm using it as a monitor. I'm using it as a temperature monitor because I watch all my temperatures from my taskbar. I set it up to where I have all my temperatures monitored from the taskbar. That's just so this way I can monitor it to make sure I'm not overloading it. But so far I haven't not had one iota of problem doing it the way I'm doing it now. I set the processor running at 4.2 gigahertz across the board. So that means all cores 4.2 gigahertz locked. So it's not pushing it too hard and it's not pushing it too light. So it works great for me. Never had a problem since. It all worked out, But, let's go ahead and let's just jump in. I want to see some of the prices on some of the X3D CPUs. So let's go ahead and just move over to that and see what we got. And we'll start with Amazon. How about that? We'll start with Amazon. Just going to dive right into Amazon, and we'll look for the 7950 X3D and see what comes up. Let's see. $574. That's the now the thing is this. I want you really to understand this. Look at the price difference between the 7950X and the 7900X3D. Okay, now, big difference. One is $574 right here, and the other one is $669. Okay, this $574 processor is going to beat the 7900X3D. It's already been proven on 7 different reviews that I've seen that the 7900X3D for the 12 core 24 thread ain't worth shit. So just to let you know, it's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth the money to spend close to $700 for the 7900X3D. Even the 7700 would be a better choice for you if you're going to go to DDR5, the next generation from DDR4. Start off with an 8-core 16 thread. I wouldn't go up to this level right here. Maximum level I would think would be to stick with the 7700 8-core 16 thread series. Even the 5800 X3D still keeps it up in there. So, $7 less, you can stay on DDR4. Truthfully, you can stay on DDR4. And they got $321 for the 5800 X3D. And, that kind of really, rolls you into the fact of what you see and not see. So, I mean, the 5800 X3D beats the 12900K. So understand, this is 427, this is 321. Now rolling down to the right here, you're still within a $300 margin on a processor. I mean, 512, 429, I mean, if you can't afford it and you want to be able to stick within what you can do, I mean, look at this. This is $800. $800 for the 3950X, which, if I remember right, it could be borderline to run. I could probably get away with running it on here if I backed the cores. If I took and shut off half the cores, I probably could run it on here. But I'm not spending $800 on a processor. That's more or less been jacked up. So, I don't think so. Really, I don't think so. I mean, 13600K for 318. That's still not a bad deal. Right here, 7950X with the MSI Pro X70P, DDR5 889. Not terrible, but not a great deal. Just to let you know, not really a great deal. I mean, they got DDR5 for $144. I mean, 439, 5950X for almost $500. Why would they be charging the 5950X for almost $500? I want y'all really to think about that. I mean, what makes this, the 5950, special? Oh, because it's 16 core, 32 threads? It's probably cheaper to get this one than it is the 7950X3D. I mean, if you look at it, probably would be. I mean, they got the 5700 right here, 8 core, 16 thread, $185. Not a bad deal. I mean, just got to shop around. 5700G, look, 8 core, 16 thread, $178. I mean, that's not a bad deal for $178. Especially if you run integrated graphics like me, that's still not a bad deal. C590, 189. No. That's just robbing Paul. I mean, 5800X, 8 core, 16 thread, 211. 5600G, $128. Go figure that one. Go figure that one right there. A 65 watt processor that does, and I'm going to tell you, if you overclock it right, it can do 4.6 gigahertz. Not just 4.4, it'll do 4.6. Not just having it, the integrated graphics at 1900 megahertz. You can push that up to 2300 megahertz. Now understand, with the new processor, the 7950X3D, guess what? Only goes to 2100 megahertz. Now you see why I never went up to the X3D part. Because for $128, guess what kind of money you're saving? You get that and a decent motherboard. You can get a B550 motherboard. Look at this. $156 for the 5600X. If you want to use a discrete graphics card, that'd be the way to go. The 5600X. I mean, just keep moving down the road, and you'll find something that's going to entice you. Like the 5600 for 139, you're best to go to the 5600X for $20 more. Better deal. Better deal. 4750G. Wow, I'm surprised that they actually put that on the market. 8-core 16-thread processor tray. Huh. Interesting. Processor only. I wouldn't buy that. There's something fishy about that. Look at this, 3900X, 12-core, 24-thread, $400. I mean, i5 9500, 6-core, up to 4 gigahertz, 65 watts, 220. You're best off to go with the Ryzen 5 5600G if that's the case, because it's 100 and what is it? So like 128. So I mean, 16-core, 32 thread, 1950X Threadripper, $580. Now, for Threadripper, are you serious? Wow. And it don't look like they got much more for that. So let's go ahead and look at graphics cards. Graphics cards for PC gaming. Well, the price hasn't changed. $550 still $108. The 1030 still $119. Wow. 3060 12 gigabytes, $364. It dropped $1. Since the new announcement of them coming out with the 3060 12 gigabyte GDR6X. That's the new one that's being talked about, that's going around right now, is the GDR6X on the 3060. Don't know what's happening there. Still getting more information on it. As soon as I find out more, I will let you know. 580, 119, price still haven't changed. Since I did Graphics Card Nightmares, that was like quite a few days ago. If you haven't seen that video, I'm sure it's there. Make sure you take a gander on it. It will be there. $349. See what else. $389. 6600, still $249. These are all today's prices, everybody. These are all today's prices. 6700, $369. I think the 6700 XT and the 3060 would be kind of equal to each other. That's the reason why the prices are about the same right now. So, 1660 Super, 6 gigabytes, still too high. Still way too high. $69 for a 2 gigabyte, I doubt it. That should be down to like $5 by now. 64-bit, 164, way too high. Ain't nobody gonna pay for a 64-bit video card, which I've already did a review on this card, and I already told y'all it sucked, and it still does. For 164, still $165, it still ain't worth it. I wouldn't even recommend that card to y'all. Just to be honest with you, I would not recommend that card to you at all. That and the 3050 I would not recommend either. Too many. I've already had too many of my friends already, look at these cards and tell me that there are the worst case scenarios. 5500 XT for 140 bucks. If you're running Second Life, it's not a bad card for Second Life. I've already had a couple people tell me about, how it runs on Second Life. They tell me it runs pretty good on Second Life, the 5500 XT. Because they're running they were, before running the 5500, they went up to the 5500 XT, and they told me about the 5500 XT. So, all in all, I can recommend that card. Right here, if it's not made in China. Understand that. I'll recommend it if it's not made in China. 2060 Super for 300 bucks. You're best to go with the 5500 XT other than the 2060 Super. Because, they got too many variants too many variants. So, moving on right along. $2,000 for the Skytech Prism 2. And trust me, I'm not doing a review on them because they never sent me a system, so I know absolutely nothing about their systems. Maybe one day they'll send me a sample system to where I can take and review it and to tell y'all if it's good or bad. Pre-built systems I really haven't said much about, is because unless I test it here, it's the only way I'm going to give a solid review on it. But if I haven't tested it yet, then I can't tell you about it. From what I've seen, the most of this system right here is the graphics card. Okay, the most I can see of this system is the graphics card, the RTX 3080, the 10 gigabyte GDR6. Because if you go to price it, 5800X is only like, let me pull up my calculator. This is how you know. So 5800X is like, you can get it for 212. Okay. The RTX 3080 you can get for $529. Okay. The 1 terabyte Gen 4 SSD, you can get them all day for $48 all day long. 16 gig of DDR4 32-bit, you can get for $49 all day long. Okay, 850 watt gold, you can get that for like maybe $59. The 360 mil AIO, I know I could get those, the AIO 360 mil AIO I can get for like $179. Okay, so AC Wi-Fi is built into the motherboard, so adding the motherboard with AC Wi-Fi B550, say $139. Okay, and the case you can save for like you can get those cases for like $89. So 1304 minus 19, oh hell, just say 2000. Just say 2000. You save yourself, if you build it yourself, $696. Okay? Get free shipping. Depends on where you get it from. You can get free shipping. Doesn't cost you anything on shipping. You can get it within 5 to 7 days or sooner and save yourself $700. So now you know right here if that system's worth it or not. Just to for say, let you all know if it's worth it or not. So, I mean, even here, look, even here you can get a $118 tower right here. So, I mean, that was the 3080. Let's look up the 3080. Let's go on to another page so I don't mess this up. Go to Amazon and look up a 3080. Okay. They might be this price, but you can get them on eBay for cheaper. You don't even need a 3080 anyway. You could use a 3070. I mean, if you're going to pay $869, you can go get a 4070 Ti. If you're going to pay that kind of money, you're best to just go get a 4070 Ti and upgrade yourself. So, still, even if you upgraded yourself, you'd still be saving $400. So, look at it that way. I mean, look at what you can get for the price. Okay. Now, let's say you don't want to shop at Amazon, you want to go to eBay. I mean, eBay, if you play your cards right, you still get a 30-day warranty. Okay? If let's say you want to build let's say you want to do motherboard. Okay. Let's see. You can get a B550F 129. Okay. Simple said and put if you want to keep it AM4. Right now I'm not going to AM5 until I can see them having better drivers, and understand that. Better drivers, better software, and something that's seasoned in. So far, they're only like maybe 4 to 5 months in on DDR5. So, DDR4 has been there for longer than 4 years. So, I would trust myself with DDR4 more than I would DDR5. DDR4 will play just the same amount of gaming as DDR5, just to let you know that. That's not bad for LGA 1155. That's not bad. If they give it to you for $50, that would be a better deal yet. I wouldn't go that route. Not people are into server boards. Look at this. Used. Look at this. 99 cents. That's a red flag. That is a red flag. Again, more red flags. More red flags. Open box, 175. Well, that's not bad if you're going to do LGA 1700. It'll probably do Gen 12 or Gen 13. So that's something to think about. Oh, what else? What else? Motherboard CPU combo, Intel 6400. $75 or best offer. $50 with shipping. Look at this. A 320M. Ready up to a 5950. This right here is a scam, y'all. 3000 series motherboards will not go up to a 5950X. Okay, just to let you know that 3000 motherboards, 300 series motherboards will not go up to it. Okay, there's a lot of fishing and a lot of glitching. B450 or greater will go up to the Ryzen 5000 series. Don't steer yourself wrong by paying $50 for a motherboard that's crap. Okay? And I'm telling you that because I know it for a fact. It's crap. So, what else? What else? What else? See, you get the main part of your computer and then you start your way up. So, let's say you find a motherboard you like, then you go for a graphics card. You go and look for a graphics card now. Okay, 480s, nope, I wouldn't get it because they don't make drivers for it now. 970s the same way. 580, they still make drivers, but that's a China product. 2060, oh lordy, not back to that again. I'm gonna switch it to buy it now. I'm sure we don't want to deal with auctions and stuff like that. I don't deal with the auctions because you seem to get a worse deal in auctions than you do a good deal. I already know a couple people that got ripped off of auctions on eBay. So, I mean, $160 or best offer. Well, if they would come down $40 on it, maybe. 6 gigabytes, not a lot of people are going to really want it because now with the new games and stuff, most of your games now these days are running between 8 gigabytes of RAM and 24. So 6 gigabytes you're really not going to see much anymore of. So that's the reason why they're coming down in price. Now, if they come down to like 100 or 120, it might be worth it. But, 6 gigs, people are not really going to buy much of them. You're going to watch the price drop out of the bottom with the 6 gigabytes versions. And that's what I'm waiting to see is the bottom drop out of the end of it. I mean, who's going to pay for a 6 gigabyte card which can't game on the newest games out, like Hogwarts and stuff like that? I mean, I can tell you, you're not going to be gaming on the Hogwarts game. You're going to have a bunch of micro stutters and everything else. So you're best off to go with a card with a higher density. Unless you play Second Life, 6 gigabytes and down will be great for Second Life. But anything, even, from 4 gigabytes all the way up to 24 gigabytes is great for Second Life. Just to let you know that. Because me, I run whatever. I can run all the way up to 8 gigabytes of integrated GPU memory graphics. So I can run all the way up to 8 gigabytes on this processor. There's a way of doing it, but you got to make sure you have between 32 and 64 gigs of RAM. If you're going to run a dedicated 8 gigabytes for your graphics card, you're best to have 32 gigs of RAM or 64 gigs of RAM on your PC. You can run it at 3600 megahertz, CL16, perfect. And I'm sure Corsair makes a great RAM at 3600 megahertz, CL16, at 32 gigs. They make a great RAM. See, I'm only utilizing 2 sticks. I'm only utilizing 16 gigs of RAM, but also too, remember, I am streaming to you all right here on YouTube live on this PC that's got 16 gigs of RAM, that has a Ryzen 5 5600G, and it's using a B450 motherboard from Asus, and has a crucial M.2 drive, 1 terabyte. Okay, that's it. That's my whole system right there in a nutshell. I'm using an 850 watt power supply. I'm using a $49 case and $37 fans. I got a total of 9 fans in my PC that I spent less than $500 for, lock, stock, and barrel. No discrete graphics card, just the integrated graphics, done and said. So that right there is something that, it's basically a kind of PC that everybody would want, but for less the price. You can go out and make your PC whatever way you want it, and still my PC is going to be just the same as yours. You can spend more money than me, but my PC will be just the same as yours. Understand that. So, and that's one concept I had to really dig into my head, just to let you know that. I had to get that concept in my head. No matter what components you use, there's still, in the general sense, all PCs are built the same way in a general preference. All PCs are the same. Nothing different but the speeds. That's it. Everything else is the same. Use the same operating systems. Use the same software for, basically, if you break it down, the software is basically the same. No matter if it's Intel, AMD, or whatever. It still open and closes, ones and zeros, like all PCs do. Ones and zeros. So that's how you break a PC down into a nutshell. I mean, if you're going to spend $600, there you go, 6900 XT. I don't know about that little thing in the middle they got, but, it is what it is. Look, I ran 2 years on Second Life with an Intel processor, which was the i5-2400, which was second generation, with DDR3 RAM, 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, a 1 gig AMD R5 240 graphics card. And I ran that for 2 years solid on Second Life, until I got tired of the slow stuttering and everything else. I built my own PC to my own specifications, and boom, I'm getting plenty of FPS without no stuttering. Everything else is working out just great. I'm off to the races. So, there are many things when you build a PC, and if you're first time starting, there's many things you can do to build a PC. Okay? To build a PC is very simple. Start off with your motherboard, and then after your motherboard, pick what processor you're going to use. Suggestive, whatever motherboard you pick, always try to go for the best and the cheapest processor you can. So, if just like me, I spent $129 on a processor, but my savings is that I did not get a discrete graphics card. Now, with my processor having the integrated graphics built on, I got both in one shot. One that gives me 2300 megahertz, just as good as a 6000 series graphics card, just to say, an early 6000 series. It gives me 8 gigs of RAM. I can use up to dedicate 8 gigs of RAM to this integrated graphics, the same as you would a 6600 or 6600 XT. Okay. Same, probably not the same amount of cores, but at least this has got a good close to 500 cores. Okay. But for my kind of usage, I like it. It does what I need it to do. So, moving on. I'm not trying to convince you all to buy it the way I did. I'm just trying to show you the best way you can buy without costing your pocket $1 million. That's what I'm trying to do, show you the best way without costing your pocket $1 million. So, we all don't have $1 million to spend. We all don't sit on Capitol Hill sucking up money from the taxpayers. We all don't have that kind of cush job that pays us, $500,000 a year. We all don't have that. We all sit here like me. We all sit at the bottom, right? We all sit at the bottom, trying to make ends meet and make it day by day and do what we do to have some kind of fun. After a hard day's work, try to have some kind of fun on the PC. Can't go out in the world now these days because everybody's still crying about COVID and everything else. Y'all know I'm not saying nothing about it. I'm not advertising for it. So I'm just telling you, after the pandemic, everything has just been upside down and everybody's just been every way but up. But as far as what we do now, we come onto the PC, we enjoy ourselves, we have a great time, we communicate with each other. I'm live, believe it or not. I am live here talking with you all, doing my Thursday thing. Wait for y'all to get into the chat and, you just, go ahead and just chat away in there, and I'll be watching it. And also, too, do remember, it costs nothing to subscribe. You're not being charged whatsoever on JJ's PC Builds to subscribe. If you're wondering how to get into the chat, if it's going to cost anything, cost absolutely nothing for you to subscribe and watch the videos. That actually helps and contributes to the channel. to help build and make the channel grow when you subscribe and you watch the videos. You know, everything that I do is for the channel now. And it's not just for me, it's for you all that are on the channel. When I make videos, it's for you all on the channel. You know, I do this for you all. You know, just to let you know, it's not a one-way street here. It's a two-way street. I always respond to your comments when you comment on my videos. I have been doing that. If you take a look at all the comments on my videos, I have responded to them, just to let you know. And if I haven't, let me know, and I'll go back and I'll respond to it. Simple as that. So, I do live streaming once a week. I do it on Thursdays. Also, too, I got one little series, a graphics card nightmare series, which that's on Saturday. You know, my live stream's on Thursdays. I make videos on and off through the week. If there's something that comes up, I will make a video on it and I will post it out. But right now, I'm not making too many videos because I got a few things going on in my personal. But just to let you know, the videos are still consistent week by week. Just to let you know that. So you're not missing out on anything. I'm just trying to steer the channel away from a little bit of the drama that's going on with AMD and Nvidia and their pricing. I'm kind of just steering y'all away from that a little bit, so that way y'all don't, have to get in on, what they're doing to screw the public. Because right now, I'm going to be honest with you, from what I see right now, is their pricing, they are actually screwing the public. And I'm going to say that because I look at their prices, I look at what's going on here in the real world, and they're in their own damn world. They are not in our world for some reason. They're in their own la-la land, thinking they're kings of the castle, that nobody's going to knock them off their throne, And truthfully, I think they're robbing the consumer. I really do. Now, the matter of the fact of with the 7950X3D and the 7900X3D, they could have did a little bit better. And be honest with you, they could have did a lot better on constructing it and having it all put together. People don't understand. When you buy a processor and you're only utilizing half the cores, you're spending money where it's not needed to be spent. Okay? That's the reason why I'm not recommending the 7950 is because, one, if the game's only utilizing half the cores, if you're not getting the full montage of that processor, and the games can't use at least 3/4 of the processor's cores. If it can't use 3/4 of the processor cores, the amount, then it's not utilizing 3/4 of the processor. If it's only utilizing half the processor, let's say the games are only using 8 cores and they're only using 16 threads, why are you going to spend $700 on something you're not even going to get in the future? And now understand what the in future means. It means that they could have a bigger processor with more cores. I even showed you here that they got a Threadripper that's cheaper than the 7950X3D. A Threadripper. Same amount of cores, same amount of threads. They got it cheaper. And Threadripper used to be the shiz of AMD. Now Threadripper ain't the shiz. Seems like the X3D is now the shiz. Okay? But I can't see paying for 2%. 2 to 4%. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say 4% of more speed than Intel's 13900KS. Okay. I'm just going to say that. And for it to have more V cache than the 13900KS. You can have all the cache in the world, but you're only going to utilize 1/3 of that portion, because you're only going to take and use so much per core. Each core that you use on your CPU is dedicated to certain programs on your PC. Now everything has a dedicated scheduling, okay, for your PC. And basically, you know, you could say 4 cores and 4 threads, or 4 core and 8 threads, is dedicated just to CPU alone. And then you got to use whatever after it. So you don't get much there. So if you got a 6 core 12 thread, then basically you use 2 more cores and use 4 more threads. Not a bad deal. But when you got a 16 core 32 thread processor, you only can use 8 core and 16 threads. But the rest are parked. What's the sense of having the processor if it's parked? Y'all really see what I'm trying to say now? Okay. 16 core 32 threads, if you cut off one of the dies, is only going to give you 8 core and 16 threads. Instead of parking 8 core and 16 threads, just go in your BIOS and disable 8 core and 16 threads. And then run only 8 cores and 16 threads. You see what I'm saying now? So, you know, and then if you disable the one side and you have the other side running, then you got your full L3 cache, the extra L3 cache, and then you're only utilizing 8 cores and 16 threads. So if you really think 8 cores and 16 threads then is going to bottleneck, it probably won't. Because if you're waiting for the 7800 X3D, that's only 6 core and 12 threads. So they would have been better off to make the 7900 X3D 8 core and 16 threads. AMD should have did that and cut the price down $200. So they didn't do that. So it just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. The 7950 X3D doesn't make sense to me. So that's a processor I'm never going to buy because it's not worth it, especially if you're parking half the core and half the threads. It makes no sense. You know, and in a creator's world, I'm using 6 core and 12 threads. I'm only utilizing, let's see, let me go ahead and pull that up. Let me go up into my task manager and I'll tell you how much I'm using there, and I'll go into performance, go to CPU. Oh, look at this. I'm utilizing all 6 core and all 12 threads. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let me bring this up here and show you all. Let me bring y'all to my action screen. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Now I'm using every bit of the 6 core and 12 threads. And I'm only, look at the speed. I'm only running at 4.17 gigahertz. You know? Look at this, 6 core, 12 threads. I can go up to 4.2. That's what I have my computer set at. The max, 4.2 gigahertz. It can go to 4.6, but I got it set at 4.2 in the BIOS. There's a reason for it. I didn't want to push it too much. I don't want to degrade the processor. That's the whole idea of that. Hey, Pet Saver, good to see you. Welcome to the live stream show. You only play Second Life, so I don't really need a lot of cores. At least, I don't think so. Thanks for the video and live streams. I'm learning a lot. Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome, Pet Saver. The thing is this. Now, with Second Life, okay, let me go back to this. And let me shut this off. Let me roll back here. So this way you can see me. The thing is with Second Life is this. Okay, you utilize the minimal. When it comes to your processor, you'll use the minimal of 8 core and 16 or 6 core and 12 threads. Okay. You're best off to run 6 core, 12 threads as a minimal. But when it comes to 12 or 16 core 32 threads, in Second Life, you can utilize up to about, I would say about 12 and 24. 12 core and 24 threads. When I play Second Life, I'm using all 6 cores, all 12 threads. Just to let you know that. So, and I'm utilizing at least about maybe 8 gigs of RAM, about 8 gigabytes of RAM, but with the video, the discrete, the integrated graphics video card I have that's built into the system, I'm only utilizing 2 gigabytes. I'm only utilizing 2 gigabytes. 2 gigabytes to for the graphics. So everything I got on my system will work fine. You know, for Second Life. I get in, you know, when I go into a club, my FPS goes all the way to about 114, but it stays steady between 84 and 114 every time. So I stay pretty much steady right there. So I don't have too much problems there. If you watch one of my videos, I show you how to set up your preferences, so that way you can utilize your preferences and get better FPS, so you don't crash as much and everything else. So I do have that video out there. If you watched it, that's awesome. It's not really hard to utilize how much the processor, you know, how much you're using, but it all depends on, and get this, with Second Life, you do not run DirectX. You run OpenGL. And everybody seems to get that mixed up. There's, you know, on Second Life, it does not run DirectX. It runs OpenGL set in foot. Okay, so if you got for your discrete graphics card, or you got your integrated graphics, make sure they're at OpenGL. Make sure it's at 4.5 or 4.6. Best off to have 4.6. I'm waiting for 4.7. I'm waiting for them to do an update on the for the integrated graphics to push it up to 4.7, which will give you better FPS and everything else. That's basically how OpenGL works. It works in a little different fashion, but it utilizes more of the processor, a little more of the processor than it does the integrated graphics. Even though that I'm only using like maybe 12 to 14% for the processor and 100% of the integrated graphics, I'm still getting speeds that are like no other. Now, if I was running a second gen computer, I would have maybe close to 30 FPS. I got integrated graphics, but I'll check if it's set to OpenGL. You don't have to worry about it being set to OpenGL. The computer automatically configures that to that program. See, when Second Life has their server configurations, okay, it automatically will switch you to OpenGL. Okay, it automatically switches you to OpenGL. So you don't have to worry about if you have it or not. You just got to, if you go into, let's say, GPU-Z, you go into GPU-Z and you look up your graphics card, just look at down at the bottom boxes and make sure you got OpenGL. That's all you have to do. If you got OpenGL, then you should be fine. Most of your graphics card have between 4.5 and 4.6 OpenGL. All of them do. Not just one, unless you're going to run one that they just newly made and they didn't add it on there, then that's a different story. But about 95% of your graphics card have OpenGL. Other than some of your older versions where they didn't run OpenGL and they just ran all DirectX, like ones that had DirectX 9, 8, and 7. If you're going to go that kind of GPU, then I'm sure you're not going to be running that kind of GPU in your computer that runs DirectX 9, 8, and 7. But yeah, if you're getting between 70 and let's say 150 FPS in a club, then your graphics card is set correctly. All you got to do is make sure you have the most updated drivers for your video card and the rest of your system, and you should be fine. You should not have a problem of micro stuttering. You should not have problems of it hanging up and everything else. I did make a video on how to set your preferences. If you set it that way, you won't have a problem. If any new update comes on to where they updated the preferences and, they changed to something new, I'll make sure I make a video on it because, that's basically what I do. It's not just I base it on computers, I base it on the games too, and I base it on many of things. I mean, all depends on what I'm doing that day and I'm making a video. So, but I can tell you this, if you're getting good FPS right now on Second Life, and you followed the little tricks and tips that I left on a video, then you're in good. Then you must be getting great FPS, just to say. I know I am, and with anybody that when I'm on Second Life with other people, they ask me the same question. What do I do to get my FPS up to a better advantage? And I tell them, I type it in. Every time they ask me the question, how do I make my FPS run better? Or how do I make my graphics card run better? The first mistake everybody makes on a graphics card, is they never ever update it to the newest drivers that's based on that graphics card. They never ever update it. And I can tell you one person that hasn't updated hers until I walked her through it, but now she updated it. And now she doesn't have all that problems. Now she's running smooth as wine. But with Second Life, if you don't update your graphics drivers, then you're going to run into that issue. You're going to run into where you're getting kicked offline. You're going to run into, freeze ups and everything else. So you don't need a big bad graphics card to run on Second Life. I'll tell you that much. You don't need a big old bad graphics card to run on Second Life. If you want to get 60, 70 FPS, you can run integrated graphics like me and get between 70. I mean, if I sit in one of my houses, right, I get close to almost 250 to 300 FPS. And that's with 14 people on land. So I know I'm getting it. Well, if you do update your graphics card, and if you run AMD's graphics cards, and you just play on SL, right? I'm going to tell you, when you go and get the new updated drivers from AMD, only put the drivers in. Don't put the whole program in. You don't need that. Especially running Second Life. You don't need the AMD Adrenalin software. You just need the drivers. You don't need all that software in there. You just need the drivers. That's all you need. You can run baseline, and believe it or not, it runs fine on baseline. I took AMD Adrenalin software out. I only run AMD Adrenalin drivers. Okay, they give you an option when you're updating, and when you do update, make sure you don't do a factory reset. With AMD drivers the way they are right now, you don't need to use DDU driver removal. If you do that, you're going to screw yourself on pulling all the drivers out of your PC. Okay, don't use that. Don't use the AMD removal software to remove the video card and the video card drivers and all that. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is, if you got stable drivers right now, go get the new software, the new AMD software. It will give you an additional option. You can check that box, and then you can move it to drivers only, and then boom, just put the drivers in. But if you're not happy with only having the drivers in, then you can start that software again, and then you can take and add the additionals into it. You can add the program if you want to add the program. Okay, if you're not happy with just using the drivers, which, I'm happy with just using the drivers. So, and that's all I need, because I don't need that Wattman bullshit in my computer. I don't need all their additional, kind of spiffy up my monitor or anything else. I run at 1080p. I see everything just great at 1080p. I don't need that extra syncing and everything else. You don't need that crap. Your monitor does just fine with the standards it's set at. Yes, drivers only. That's all I use is when I take and install the software, I install only the drivers. I don't install none of the rest of the software. I just install the drivers. Because the rest of the software is no use to integrated graphics. What? You get what? FSR2? You don't even get FSR2. What's the sense? You don't get everything a discrete graphics card gets. So what's the sense of putting the software in when your BIOS is controlling the video card, the integrated graphics? It's controlling the amount of megahertz. It's controlling the amount of memory. It's controlling the amount of VRAM you get. So what's the sense of having anything on AMD software when it controls absolutely nothing? It does absolutely nothing. It doesn't make sense to have it. And that's the reason why I don't have it, because it just sucks up extra RAM running in the background. And then if you go to utilize all 8 gigs of RAM that you dedicated to the integrated graphics, guess what happens? Wattman steps in and says, nope. Guess what? It takes and shuts off your PC. So I don't need Wattman controlling my PC. That's more or less like AMD controlling your PC. It's bad enough Microsoft controls your PC. You don't need that extra crap controlling your PC. Especially if you don't have it in there, and this is the good caveat. Especially if you don't have that extra program in there, that's less programs you have to worry about that somebody's going to get in there and hack on you. So they're not going to be able to hack your video drivers unless they get into your driver software. Is the only way they can get into your PC. But I don't foresee it. I don't foresee you have less headaches just running drivers only. And that's all. I mean, I took out with the AMD system. They had the AMD motherboard. They had a few programs. I even took out all the lighting programs, everything. You don't need it. You don't need none of that. Because if you remember back in the old days, they never had none of that crap. They never had any, RGB or anything else. It was just the PC and you. No RGB, no nada, just the fan, PC, and you. So, and that's how I run my PC, is because I don't use the RGB on the motherboard. This is what controls my RGB. Right here. Right here controls my RGB. I don't have it on the motherboard. Motherboard only runs system fans only. So it's just RGB takes up way too much from the motherboard. So I mean I could use the Aurora program that's with that, but I took it completely out. I didn't need it. The only thing that I run from ASUS is, that's funny. I don't even have that in there. Oh yeah, I do. They got the AI Suite 3. That's the only thing I use. And what I'll do is I'll pull it up and I'll show you. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and do this. There. See, this is what I run right here. The AI Suite 3. That's all I need. Because with the AI Suite 3 is you can see the VRM. You can boost up the VRM. If I want to turbo, let's say I want to turbo the processor. Look at all this extra room I got for the processor right here. See, I can turbo up the processor. I can change all the voltages. I mean, if I want to change the fans, I can do the fans too. I mean, I can do the fans. You can do everything from here. Okay, you can do everything from here when you use ASUS programming. Just to say, it's not hard. That's the only program I got running in the background. So everything else, I turned it off. main programs I got running is the antivirus software from Microsoft that MSI Afterburner. I use that to monitor my temperatures, and the ASUS program, the AI suite. Those are the only ones I got running in the background, and they're not eating up anything right now, so I really don't worry about it. You know, that's how you keep your computer clean. When you keep all the rest of that other crap out of your computer, and you just run the what you're actually using is what you need for your PC. So, very simple, not confusing, you know. And later on, when I get to the point to where I'm going to show you all how to debloat. I'm going to show you all later on down the road how to debloat your system. So this way you don't have any problems. You want to get rid of some programs, you just debloat your system 100% and be done with it. Take everything out and then build everything back to what you need. So you I'll show you how to rip out everything out of your system. Run it just for your internet and for, your basic system programming. And then you can add in whatever else you need that you're going to use only. The other programs that you're never going to use, you don't need that in your system. I ripped my system completely apart. I bare-boned it. I bare-boned this system for a reason. It's because I didn't want all that extra bloatware, telemetry, and everything else in my PC. So, and if Microsoft don't like it, they can kiss my ass too. So, there it is. Maybe if they learn to give us a PC that wasn't bloated, give us a couple options, to where you can get their programming without it having it bare boned. That would be a plus to us. Where we can add in whatever we wanted that we're going to use for that computer. So that would have been a plus. That would have been something that if Microsoft set it up that way to where we can add in whatever we need and that's it. I mean, you can't beat that. But Microsoft didn't do it that way. They just jammed a whole bunch of crap into the system and said, "Here you go. Have a nice day. Figure out how to take it out because you're not using it, and it's taxing all your system. It's taxing your system and your resources and everything else, and it's killing your processor because you're not using it, and we're happy with you not using it because it's burning up your system for you to go buy a new one." You see the point? That's why they leave all that bloatware and crap in there. Is so that way it'll burn your processor up faster. So you go get a new PC faster. So you spend more money faster. It's nothing but the money game. They don't care about you being happy on your computer and being set up the right way you want it to be set up. They're not happy with that. They're only happy about making money. And the only way they're happy about that is if they burn your PC from under you. That's the only way they're going to be happy because they know that you're going to need that PC. They know you're going to need it. So they're going to take and do their best to make you go buy a brand new one. I've seen this happen over the years. They end-of-life drivers on certain processors and stuff like that to make you go buy a new one. Then they upgrade the programming to where you need to go buy a new one. They did this for year after year after year. Operating systems all the way up. So it's more or less like you spend more money, you spend more money, you spend more money. Just keep spending money. You spend 1,000 here, 1,000 here. By the time you get done through a whole life cycle, understand this. through a whole life cycle. If you're spending money about every 2 years and you're spending $1,000, let's go to the math here. Let's do the math a little bit. Okay. Let's get down to the brass tacks of this. Okay. Now, bring it right here, and I'm going to show y'all so y'all understand. Make it a little bit bigger. So if you're spending $1,000 every 2 years, and let's say the life expectancy is 70 years old, you times that by 45. You spend $45,000 minimal. That's minimal. That's not compared to prices and everything. You know, if you're going to need a new graphics card and everything else, you know, you might as well tax on another $74,000. $74,000. So by the time you get done in a lifetime, you will be up to $3.3 million of investment in PC. These are the 1%ers. These are the ones that spend everything they can on PCs. $3.3 million. Now, if you, let's say the rest of the 99%, you divide that by 3, you're still going to spend up to $1 million on PC equipment for your whole lifetime. That's more than when you have a kid. Because it's $1.3 million for a whole lifetime for a kid when you have one child. And your computer turns into your child. So might as well just say you spend $1 million in a whole lifetime on your PC. Okay. Me, on the other hand, let's say I divide that by 4. That's how much I'll spend in a whole lifetime on a PC. It's $277,000. That's how much I would spend. Okay? In a whole lifetime. Reason is because I know how to buy. I watch what I buy. So I'm not costing myself. I paid less than $500 for this PC. I built it. Guess what? It runs great. It runs just as good as anybody else's PCs, you know. But, you know, you always hear everybody else struggling with their PC. Well, the reason why they struggle with their PC is this. Is they don't do the drivers correctly. When they buy extra components like video cards and stuff like that, they don't seem to match things up correctly. Now this PC right here, the maximum video card I can run with this is a 6600 XT. I know this for a fact without taxing the GPU or the CPU in a bottleneck. 6600 XT would be the best runner for this. If I wanted to go even further, 6600 XT or a 3060, RTX 3060 12 gigabyte would run just as good. That's about as far as you would want to push a PC like mine. But, you know, you can get those parts for the next 4 or 5 years. So I know for at least 4 or 5 years, I'm good with the PC I have, unless the motherboard burns down. But I don't foresee the motherboard burning down anytime soon. So, you know, just want you all to think about that when it comes to the pricing. You know, when you're pricing your PC out, price it very carefully. You can get 4 to 5 years out of a motherboard. You can get 4 to 5 years out of a processor if you run it correctly and you don't kill it. You know, you don't overclock the crap out of it and kill it. You run it decently and you run it right at the snug point. right at that little snug point. You run it at about 70%, 75%. That's about the fastest you want to run it. Because that extra 25%, that's a buffer. That's called remainder of life. That means you can remain its life for 4 to 5 years. The PC that I got over here, it's the Intel, it's the i5 2400. It's second gen. And it runs DDR3, 16 gigabytes. It still runs on Second Life. It still runs 40 FPS on Second Life with no problem. That PC will run all the way up to a 5500 XT on that processor with no problems. It'll run 50 to 70 FPS. If I put a 5500 XT in there, it'll run 50 to 70 FPS on Second Life. So, oh, my ribs. Sorry. I've been sitting a little too long in the chair. But understand that, you can use a crappy system and still get the best out of it if you know how far you can push it. Okay? Now, I know I can push that older system up to the Intel i7 2600. I know I can run it up to that far. And I know I can run 16 gigs of RAM DDR3 on that computer. And I know I can run the 5500 XT graphics card on that computer. Now that's pushing it to its max. And I already have a 500 watt power supply in there. So, the system alone is only going to take, the system power draw is only going to be about between 90 and 100 watts. So that leaves me with 400 watts. And then I could use any graphics card, like 5500 XT, you might be like taxing it at about 132 watts. So that's not even half of the amount of wattage that the power supply can handle. So basically, you got another 250 watts that power supply can handle. If you want to do like RGB and stuff like that, you got that room and option. So believe it or not, you can, even though that Microsoft said that, unless your PC is 6th gen on Intel side or greater, or it's Zen 3 or greater on the AMD side, that's the only way you'll be able to transfer your system over to Win 11. And they did say that. Ever since then, they've been doing everything they can to shut the ones that want to take their older system to Windows 11, to shut them out by the amount of updates and things that they've been doing. They want to shut them out. It's cheaper. I'm just saying this. It's cheaper if you spend $400 or $500, upgrade your PC. You can get Windows 10. You can go get a CD key for, a product key for $30 or $15 or $20 or however much it costs you. Put it in for Windows 10, then upgrade yourself to Windows 11 if you got, like Zen 3 or greater, or if you got, let's say you run anything above 8th gen or greater, you should be good there to run Windows 11. Just to say, you'd have been better off to upgrade your system and go that route Just take it to the next level and wait for the prices to come down and be happy. Or if you got a computer you're already happy with, then don't upgrade it. Just wait until a rainy day to where you have to upgrade it and then upgrade it. You know. But I can tell you the best thing to do if you're running something less than a Gen 6 or you're running something less than a Zen 3, you're best off to upgrade to the Zen 3 or the Gen 6 or greater. It's cheaper to do it that way right now than it is to go up to the AM5 series. AM5 series is a totally new animal running a new different direction. So you're best off, you want to save a little bit of money, but you want a game, to go to the 12th generation of Intel or the 500 series Zen 3 of AMD. Sure, you can get heck of good prices before it's too late and you can't get there. So I was lucky to get on board and get my system before they started all this crap. That was back 6-7 months ago. So I was happy to get on the train, and I tried when I first started, tried to tell you all, get in on the train. That was back then before they started jacking prices. And then it's been out of control ever since 6 months ago. The prices have been out of control since 6 months ago. Everything got jacked up, and then everybody wanted to blame it on the GPU miners. Everybody wanted to blame it on everybody else but the manufacturers. Then the manufacturers started playing the game with the scalpers. So then the manufacturer became the scalper. Now they're trying to reverse that role, and they're trying to be just manufacturers. So, but just to let you know, that's probably never going to happen. Maybe not. So, but now we're winding down on time. I've got about 10 minutes left, and then I'm going to call it quits because I got some things I got to take care of today. But if you want to get in on the discussion, be more than happy to get into the chat. Leave your comments there in the chat. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Just don't use profanity. It would be appreciated. And also, don't attack everybody here. We just deal with PCs here. It's not, and understand this, it's not political. And it's never going to be political here. So all I'm doing is I give you the prices, my thoughts, and how things are going. And, what it's going to be looking towards the future. So if you're looking to come here to have a fight, you're on the wrong channel for that. Go save it for another channel that's looking for it. We're not. We play it safe here. It's a family channel, and that's the way it's going to remain. So now that we got that off to the side, that was just to let you all know what's going to be going on. I don't have moderators here. Now, if I had moderators, there's going to be in time, I'm going to be picking and choosing moderators. So moderators will help me with the chats when it becomes more to where I can't control it. So I will be having moderators here soon. But for now, I don't think I need moderators. So, but also too, if you enjoy Second Life, enjoy your Second Life. Not a lot of people play that, want to talk about Second Life anymore, is because the thing is because they're not into 3D worlds like me and some of the people that are out there. They're not into one-on-one conversations, real conversations with people, other than conversations with a robot. You know, that's something that, you know, you kind of think about. Am I having a conversation with a robot or a real person? Okay. Well, the way I find out is this. I voice chat. So this way I know the person I'm talking to ain't a robot. So there's ways around that too. Also too, if you watch my previous video on how to set up your preferences, it will help you out. So if you haven't watched that video, watch. It's on one of the videos. I should have it on a folder that says Second Life on it. That'll be the folder you look in. I got names on every folders of what's going on that particular month. And also too, if I'm doing something else, like if I'm doing automotive or something like that, I'll have a separate folder for that. You can look in the folders for that too. I have many of folders that you can look into for what I'm doing on that specific day, just to let you know. But also to make sure that if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. It costs absolutely nothing to subscribe. I mean, absolutely nothing. If you want to get in on the chats, the reason why I got the chats locked is, well, locked to subscribers only, is because I want you to become part of the JJ's PC Builds family. I want you to step into this world and enjoy yourself and have a great time and not be harassed and everything else. That's pretty much what happens here. We don't harass each other. We talk about key points. We talk about PCs. We have fun doing it, you know. Even though that my face doesn't look like I'm having fun. Am I having fun? Maybe. Kind of. Maybe. Just saying. You know, in the future, we're planning on doing many of things. I do plan on making a trip up to Micro Center, you know, and stuff like that. And probably, hopefully, if I can get a better phone, just for say, a better phone that will do live streaming, you know, I'll probably do that and take the trip to Micro Center and do it live and take you all along with me, as I know it doesn't take me but a couple hours to get to Micro Center from here. So do keep that in mind. I got things cooking in my mind that I want to have on this channel. You know, also too, once we go monetized, I want to put in a store for clothing and stuff like that, stuff that you guys enjoy. I want to put in a kind of, you know, store that you guys can go to and buy things, you know, and never have any issues with, you know, purchasing on the website or anything else, you know, stuff like that. Saves you from actually going to the store. You can just, you know, if you want to buy our merchandise, we'll have a merch store. Stuff like that. I think I'm going to have, if I get one shirt, I'm going to have on the shirt, make sure you have your soda and popcorn. I'm going to make sure I put that on a shirt. You know, why not? It'd be fun. Trust me, it'll be fun. But as far as if you want to know anything about, you know, if you're having a hard time on your PC and if you need a quick help or something, I could do the best I can to help you. If you need a quick help on, you know, what to do to solve a problem with the driver software or something like that, you know, we can go from there. And stuff like that. So we are down to 4 minutes in time. 4 minutes in time left. If you guys got anything you want to tell me in the chat, let me know in the chat. I am watching it. I am not taking my eyes off of it. Just to let you know, I am here I will respond to you. I respond to everybody that sends me questions, and do my best to answer them for you. That's the reason why on my live feeds, you're more than happy to, if you want to send, type in a question. I'll do my best to answer you. And if I don't know the answer to it, we can go and explore it together to get the answer you need. We can always do that too. So there are many things we can do here for you. That's the reason why I'm here. I am here for the consumer. The ones that, that need the help of getting to where they need to be. That want to have fun on their PC, want to be able to do many things, want to be able to do creator work and have fun with their PC and stuff like that without having the hassle. Okay, I've been in your shoes before, to where know which way to turn, not knowing what to do and everything else. I've been there. I have been there. Especially back in the day, long time ago, when you go to look for drivers, sorry about this. I had to stretch my back. But finding driver software for AMD and Intel has been a pisser for years. Especially if they keep it to themselves and they try to hide it. And then, you got to go out there and start fishing for it. Like they're doing now. The old driver software, they hid it from everybody. If you go onto their website now, you will be barely able to find all them old drivers and everything else. For your older systems, they hid all the software. They took it off their site. And then you got to go to other sites and then probably get phished or hacked or whatever else. Instead of them worried about the customer, they ain't worried about the customer being safe. They ain't worried about that software being safe. They're just worried about their freaking pockets. And their pocket to be safe more than the customer. Okay? I was born fed into hospitality. I've been in hospitality all my life. And I know everything it needs to know about what the customer wants. Okay, and the thing is this. In NVIDIA, you and AMD, especially Intel too, aren't looking at your customers and giving them a fair shake. You're just worried about your pocket and your incentive to your shareholders. And your shareholders are not really looking at the bottom line. They're looking at the top line where you're making the gross. They're not looking at the bottom where you're making the net. And the reason why you're losing money on your net is because you're not making it fair to consumers. And I just want you to understand that. You're not making it fair to consumers. And the consumers are speaking out to me. I get emails every day. When is NVIDIA going to change their prices and make them lower? When is AMD going to make their prices lower? When is Intel going to make a better, GPU, and stuff like that? These are questions for those manufacturers. But they come to me because I know I go out there searching for their answer for their questions. And I do that daily. Because I know manufacturers are not going to give me the answer. I got to go looking for the answer every day. You think those manufacturers pay me? Hell no, they don't pay me. They haven't paid me 1 cent when I first started. You think they want to? You think they'd step up and say, "Hey, can I be your sponsor?" Especially me putting their products out there and telling them how good or how bad their products are. You think they're willing to sponsor me? Hell no. You think they care? No. They care about them channels that have over 100 to 200 to 1 million subscribers. That's what they cater to. Not the new people that just starting out that are trying to make their way on YouTube. I'm just letting y'all know. They're not catering to the new YouTubers. None of them are. If they really wanted to make, the new YouTubers grow and they want to be a part of it, then they're going to step up and say, "Hey, let's go ahead and let's cut a deal. Let's get you growing." I have never ever seen a company do that yet. But yesterday, I know I'm past my time, but yesterday I want to tell you all something. I was in line waiting to get a cup of coffee. This was late at night. And the thing is this. The car that was in front of me, she paid for my coffee. And whoever you are, if you watch my videos, I want to thank you for the cup of coffee. I do much appreciate it. And thank you. Just to let you know, if you watch my videos, thank you for the cup of coffee. You are recognized here. All you have to do is drop me an email. Let me know. My email's in my About section. You can find me there. So you can leave me an email there. But anyway, everybody, we're going to jump out of here. Until the next time in the next video. Say the next video. But don't forget, next week, next Thursday, around this time and around on this channel, we're going to have another live video. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. And this is JJ on JJ's PC Builds. We will see you on the next video.